Hey, what's going on? This is the live production of episode 76 of the Client by Client podcast. Welcome in. We'll get started here in a little less than a minute. If it's your first time here, drop me a number one. Friends, family, current clients, past clients, friends, everybody, haters, throw me some emojis. Let me know what's up. I wish you well in whatever bucket that you're in. Today, we are talking about 6 tips for making content easier, making it faster, making it a bit more simple. Just want to share with you things that I've learned over my journey in making content and in the aim of being as consistent as you can and in making as high quality content as you can. So I'm going to share a couple tips, whether you're just starting out and getting consistent with the content, maybe a couple things to help you to get even more consistent if you're already sharing it and if you're already building your audiences here on social media. So that said, let's hop in and let's bring this to life. Boom. Hey, what's up? Jeremy here from whatupjeremy.com, back with another episode of Client by Client. Thank you so much for tuning in today. In the last episode, we talked about what to do if you want to get your coaching clients results faster. Now, I think it's obvious why you might want to, number one, get your clients results. But number two, it might not be so obvious for why you might want to help them to get those results even faster. Because anytime a new client signs on, there's a little clock that starts ticking for them thinking about when they're going to make their money back. And the good coaches know that, yes, we want to help you to get that money and that value back. For those of us like myself who sell money at a discount, for us business coaches, we think a little level beyond with return on investment. And it's aiming kind of low to think of just return of the investment, which we get why you might want to be aiming at that. But I share with you exactly what to do so that you can start getting your clients results faster, maybe even before they join your program, most definitely once they make the decision, and even before they sign up and come to one of your one-on-one calls, one of your group calls, and before they even start experiencing your program. So be sure to backtrack one episode if you want to understand exactly what to do to get your clients results even faster. In today's episode, I want to share with you 6 tips for making great content easier, for making it more simple, and the aims of helping you get more consistent. Let's hop in and let's talk about these 6 tips for making content even easier. The first tip that I have for you is a bit more high level, because what I want for you to do first is all about simplifying and narrowing down. There's this thought of expanding, and there's this other thought of contracting. And if you want to expand, the fastest way is to actually contract. So my first tip is to master one platform. And when you think about today's day and age, there are so many platforms and new ones popping up seemingly every other month. And it can be extremely overwhelming when you're trying to just get your name out there, to have more people to make offers to have leads coming in consistently. And with so many different platforms to be on, what ends up happening is that you spread yourself too thin, and one of two things happens. You're putting out little bits and pieces everywhere, and you're not getting much results to show for it. So all of your platforms are growing extremely slowly in reach, in audience, in followers, and in interactions and engagement. But not one platform stands out as the one that's helping your business to actually grow. So in order to expand, you need to contract. So tip number 1 is all about mastering one platform. And so what I want for you to do before you think about what your online presence looks like is choosing one platform to really become a master at, because when you do this, you can then channel all of your energy into building that one platform. And the pros on this will want to start tracking daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, all of the metrics, whether it's follower count, friend count, interactions, likes, the amount of content that you're pumping out, what content works, views, likes, comments, all these sorts of things. And with so many platforms, if you spread yourself too thin, what ends up happening is that you don't know individually, because it's so hard to track across the boards, which platform is actually going to drive the results. And so where your energy goes is where your results are going to flow. And so the first thing I want for you to do is narrow down into one platform where you feel you can show the best parts of your personality and to also be consistent. In doing this, what ends up happening is that you actually, you put your eggs in one basket and you keep your eyes on that one basket. And so in doing this, you can actually start to feel the results of your progress beginning to compound. If you spread yourself too thin, you end up with no leads every single day. And you and I both know that you only need 3, 4, or 5 warm leads coming in every single day to get one new client every single week. And when you can simplify it down to that and boil it down to that, and you can simplify your online presence down to that one platform and getting to 3, 4, or 5 warm leads a day, now you have the recipe to say, now that I have these warm leads coming in consistently, what other platforms can complement my business? And then you can maybe throw some of your resources, because you have revenue growing consistently, at maybe growing another platform or bringing on someone, whether it's a freelancer, a member of your friends and family, of your social circle, or an expert to help you to manage a platform. Now, when it comes to choosing the platform, it's my belief that wherever you're going to spend the time to actually build an audience and actually build engagement is the one that's going to work. So I don't personally care if it's Twitter, if it's Instagram, if it's Snapchat, if it's LinkedIn. I'm agnostic. Find the one that you can show your best self at. If you're really good at writing, maybe it's Twitter or maybe it's Threads. If you're really good at speaking, maybe it's Clubhouse. Maybe it's Twitter leveraging circles. If you're really good on video, maybe it's going live. So that's not going to be TikTok unless you have 10,000 followers. I almost tossed my AirPods off the table. Maybe it's Instagram. Maybe that live function is on Facebook and then you do something else with that content. Or maybe it is YouTube. Whatever the case, narrow it down to one platform until you're getting leads every single day. You only need 3, 4, or 5 of them when you wake up to be rolling in to make that decision. And then you can go and master other platforms. Tip number 1, master one platform. Contract your focus into one, and by doing that, that one platform can expand versus having all the platforms with a couple hundred followers and a little bit of interactions, but still no clients coming from it. Thing number 2 is you got to keep it simple. And so when you're just starting out, I think that there is this inclination, because you're seeing Alex Hormozi, you're seeing whoever your idol is in content, you're watching whatever influencer is influencing you, and you think that that's the standard for content. And it's totally possible to get there in time, but you need to make it simple in both the planning of it, in the creation of it, and in the publishing of it if you want to get to a point of consistency, because it has to be sustainable. And if you are a one-man operation, like many of you are, all 2 of you listening to the show consistently, then you have to balance your time between money now tasks and money later tasks. A money later task is making content, but that will be building your authority over a long period of time, which will eventually result you in getting consistent clients off of your content. But when you're just starting out, when you're below 10, 15K a month, you have to be having enough time and creating the space and the environment for you to be focusing on money now tasks and things that are going to bring in leads today and clients this week. And while content is important, I just spit everywhere. And while content is important, what's more important in your business is playing the game of conversations and of making offers. And you don't need content for that. So thing number 2 is you have to keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't get too fancy. Don't need to make it perfect. Like, for instance, if you're posting on TikTok, you don't need the fancy captions and to be editing and doing all of these things to make it, because you can do that in the TikTok editor. In Instagram, in TikTok, and most of these platforms, they have a captioning function. So you don't even have to get fancy around it. And I know you want to look like the big box coach, but on most of these platforms, looking more like everybody else and being more normal and not being so fancy, being more organic, more rough around the edges is what actually is going to index far better than the fanciness. So embrace where you're at right now. Also embrace that you might not have all the time in the world to make this content. Play to that, and instead focus on the value you're delivering through the content instead of needing to make it fancy. Third, you have to get to a point where you're doing it daily in order to get consistent with your content and in order for this to become easy. Anything worth doing is worth doing daily. And if you can't do it daily, I would make the argument for maybe not doing it just yet. So one of the things that you might want to start with, instead of making super fancy carousels on Instagram and making well-polished videos for Reels, maybe you start with just doing a 1-minute story. Martin Wales, who you guys are familiar with here in the community, both in the Leverage Coach community, here in the show, is doing a killer job of doing this, of just showing up, making 1-minute stories, and then turning those into Reels. And then now from there, he can get some data for what's working on Reels, and now he can modify and change what he's doing, whether it's trying out hashtags versus no hashtags, captions, like the actual typed out caption that you put in there versus no caption, captions on the video, those sorts of things. Now you can start to play around with that as you get feedback from what the platform and how it's actually performing in terms of how it's distributing your content. So find a way to do it daily. If you can't do it daily, maybe it's not the time just yet. If you can tweet daily, that's going to be powerful for you. If you can do threads daily, that's powerful. You can show up on Clubhouse and run a room every single day. You do that for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2, 3, 4 years. It's going to end up being a thing that people make a routine of coming to, of wanting you to be a part of their every single day. And you should, if you're an online coach and whatever it is that you coach on, should have the expertise and enough things to talk about where you're able to show up daily and not run out of topics. So choose a platform where you can do this daily. And maybe you're going to say that, hey, I'm going to focus on doing clips, more like short form content. Or you say, I'm going to be the person that does long form content all the time. Maybe you're not sharing it on the platforms every single day, but you are creating it and polishing it up to get ready for publication every single day. If you can't find the time to be making this a daily thing and you're not consistent in clients yet, publishing it daily is probably not the game that you want to be playing just yet. The issue is that a lot of people, a lot of coaches overcommit themselves and spread themselves too thin when it comes to content, because making good content, while it seems simple, it's not necessarily easy. And I don't want for you making content to take away from you creating conversations and making offers. So thing number 3, whatever platform that you choose, whatever it is that you're going to be focusing on, find a way to do it every single day. Tip number 4, for keeping it simple, making it easy. Start with what you have. Keep the tech as simple as you can. If you only have an iPhone right now, work with your iPhone. Don't complicate it with needing to get external audio. Don't complicate it with needing to put very fancy graphics and have to polish it up real nice. There are video editors on your iPhone. If you have Canva, there's video editors inside of there. Like, you don't need Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro or even iMovie these days. TikTok has a great editor built in. In fact, I know creators who are using TikTok for the editor and then sending that over to Reels or to YouTube Shorts. So start with what you have. Like right now, you have to remember that I have a background in television productions and audio video productions. Shout out to Mr. Engelman, Chandler High School. Shout out to Mr. Rector, Chandler High School, from the graphic design standpoint. Like, I have a background in these things. And so therefore, my tech is a little more complicated. And I won't belabor you with all of the things that I have, but when you see the microphone, when you see the lights, when you see the interfaces that I have and the software and those sorts of things, number 1, it can get costly. And number 2, every single thing that you're adding on and layering on is another opportunity for it to fail when you need it most. And those creators who have been doing this for a while and have a bit of a tech kit on hand understand that it works really well until it doesn't. And the time where it's typically not going to work well is when you need it the most. Find a way to keep it simple. You will thank me for this as you start to complicate it, when you then finally find out how things can fail when you need it the most. So I have done full episodes of this show where my audio cut out and I didn't catch it, or where I'm streaming from this software and something happened in the broadcast, in the internet stream, in the megabytes per second. And not only did it mess up the stream to the platforms, which isn't the most important part to me, but what is important, because I make this live video into a podcast, is that I have the video and the audio to be able to then go and edit in post-production. And so to go and edit it afterwards so that I can publish it to the actual podcast feed and to make hopefully decent clips out of it afterwards. And I've had episodes where something happened between the software and social media, and it went very poor quality to all of the platforms. And on top of that, the file was corrupted on my computer. So I had to come back and record pieces of or additional full episodes again. And I'm doing this daily. And so you can imagine what that can kind of create as far as issues and missteps in the production cycle and in the production calendar and in the stress. And while that doesn't sound like the end of the world, it is super stressful when you're planning on these things, when you're doing everything the same as the day before, but something in the technology you have no control over experiences some sort of hiccup or an issue. Start with what you have and keep it simple. I would advocate for you starting with what you have and working with what you got longer than you want to, so that you then appreciate some of the higher end stuff and the higher end microphones and videos and audios and editing and all of those things, because you can only get a grasp for the value of it once you've used what you have and started with what's in your pocket, and you can value and appreciate that first. Fifth, a little bit more advanced here. I mentioned there are going to be some tips for beginners and some tips for a little bit more advanced before we started recording this show. Tip number 5 is to shoot once and share everywhere. Find a way to create content in one place and then find a way to do other things with it afterwards. You don't need to do things with it afterwards. You don't need to tweet and then turn it into a reel. You don't need to post a thread and then turn that into a full long form video. But now you have the option of doing it. Not every single one of these episodes of this podcast will result in clips that go to TikTok or YouTube or to Instagram. I would love for that to be the case, but I'm only going to take the best ones, and I'm not going to prioritize it over showing up live and getting the podcast to the feed. And I'm not going to prioritize that over conversations and over making offers and invitations. You got to keep the first things first, and you got to keep the basis of your business as the basis of your business, and generating revenue is the basis of everything that we do. Therefore, I can take this and I can make shorts and reels and TikToks and audio clips, and I could take what I say here and make it into Twitter quotes, but I don't have to. But the fact that I show up for this live video gives me the options downstream of doing all of those things, hiring other people, or incentivizing others to do that for me. Find a way to show up in the best light you possibly can for you, your unique personality, for your unique characteristics, and find a way to set that up and to rig it in a way where you have more options down the road to choose from for what you're going to end up doing with the rest of that content. What that might look like is starting with an idea and you tweet it. And then when you're looking for content ideas and you're sitting down to make a video, you don't have to start from scratch. You just pull up your Twitter and there's a bunch of videos. So you pull up a tweet and you turn it into a question prompt for you, or you just say, I shared this thing on Twitter and I wanted to talk more about it today. And then you just philosophize. And maybe you're good at ranting, and so you just go down the road. If you're really good at writing and not good at the extemporaneous, off-the-cuff type of speaking, then maybe you start with a Google Doc or a blog post, and then you turn that blog post into a script that you prompt up for yourself so you don't have to memorize it. And then you can just start reading it out, and that becomes your video. Maybe you add some things to it, and you can go a little off the cuff here and there, but you have enough to read and get your main points across and to have a good, well-structured piece of content. And that all started because you led with your best foot forward. I am pretty good at just the speaking and the off the cuff, and I've done so much of this that you could shake me out of bed, and I could go on stage and put together something. And so I don't like to rely on that necessarily, but because I know that, I chose podcasting as my main source. And now you see me do stories and you see me do other clips, but that all starts with the podcast. I'll come up with an idea by tweeting it and getting it out of my head, or writing it down here on my iPad, like I'm going off of right now. I write a little thing to prompt me for what I'm going to say, and then I go and say it. And then I take that and I go and edit it, and I find other things to do with it. And maybe I'm editing and I hear myself say something, and so I type it out real quick and I put it as a thread or as a tweet. But it all starts with the podcast. And when you see me doing my 1-minute stories that go to Instagram and to Facebook, that is all me promoting the previous day's episode of the podcast that's up on the feed. So everything is starting with ideas for this podcast, and then I spawn everything else outside of it. Find a way to create something once and to get your idea out of your head, and then create a little system where you're able to then, even if it means doing something daily, like doing a story to promote it, find a way to then go and send it everywhere else, or at least give yourself the option of doing that. Sixth and last bullet point, last idea here, last tip for making great content easier, making it faster, making it more simple. If you've been getting value from today's show, if I shared something that is a little bit of a reminder for you, because you guys are super smart and you guys have been doing this as well, maybe even putting out more content than I am. If I shared something that was a bit of a reminder that gave you some ideas, or maybe I said something here that's inspiring you, or that's it's something that you maybe haven't heard before, then it'd mean the world for me for you to screenshot wherever you're listening to the show, post it up on your story and tag me at @WhatUpJeremy. Would love to reshare that, give you some attention to your social profiles, maybe send you some prospects, and it would help me reach more people, which would mean the world. Lastly, you have to get organized. getting organized was not a strength I rolled out of the womb with. It's been something I've had to learn, refine, get better at, and it can be still something that I loathe, but I see so much value in it that I make this really a key point of everything that I do. And I made an effort in when I created the Get Clients program, when I created this client by client podcast, as I've grown the Leverage Coach Group, to get organized around everything that I do. And so it's important that you find a tool, a way that helps you to stay organized, that makes most sense for you, that is simple, that is hopefully available on every device that you're using, and available on the device that's most on you most often, so that you can stay organized and so that you're not missing data when you might need it, or when you have an idea, you can actually get it out of your head and into that place. And so the two big places that I use for organizing this show and my content is Google Sheets and Basecamp. Maybe those aren't the ones that you use. Maybe it's Excel and it's Trello or it's Asana or it's something. What I would advocate for is hopefully it's free and it's not costing you, at least in the beginning, and most definitely not before you're at 15K a month. But try to keep costs down around all of this, especially if you're below 15K. If you're above that, you have a little bit more wiggle room now to invest in some softwares, invest in some services. But even at that point, I would advocate for the muscle of keeping it cost effective and keeping it as free as you can, because you don't need wicked tools and all of these things. And anyone who's telling you that is probably just trying to get you to sign up for their service, or is just trying to validate themselves by making more people like them. And they are not going to be at the consequences of your bank account or of your decisions. And so I would just advocate for keeping it super free, keeping it extremely cost effective, and not trying to spend money on as many things as you possibly can, so that your expenses stay low. Because the $1.99 caption app, or the $4.99 tool that you use, or the $40 streaming software that you're using, these things add up very quickly, and they eat into your profit, and they eat into your ability to run a lean online coaching business. You got to get organized, keep it simple, keep it as free and as cost effective as you can. And in doing this, you'll have a much more lighter business that gets more profit off of every client. And when you're operating like that, that's going to stay with you as you grow your online business. And the people that have that skill, they typically don't develop that once their business is big and making 80K, 100K a month. They've been doing that from day one. It's a method and a mode, and you might as well start that where you're at right now. In the next episode of Client by Client, we're going to be talking about mindset and how to identify if it is what is currently holding you back from getting to the next level in your online coaching business. Whenever you are ready, here are 3 ways I can help you grow your online business. First, download your free copy of GetBookedCRM. Coaches are used to managing your leads and pipeline from Instagram DM, Facebook Messenger, and your email inbox. Well, you're losing leads in the cracks, and you're leaving a lot of money on the table every single month. That's why I created GetBookedCRM. What started out as a tool for me to manage my pipeline has quickly become a favorite tool of my clients and of the Leverage Coach community. And it's 100% free at the time of this recording. Get leads and turn them into clients in half the time. To download your free copy now, all you have to do is find me on Instagram or anywhere on social media and send me the letters CRM. Second, join my free group for online coaches. I've got almost 1,000 coaches from all over the world who are just a step ahead of where you're at the exact same stage that you're at, or a baby step or 2 behind where you're at right now, and all ships rise in a high tide. Get access to them, access to me, and access to weekly resources and other things I find across the web that help me to grow my online business that might be helpful for yours. To get your free invitation out, all you have to do is find me on Instagram and send me the word group. Lastly, become my next success story. I'm getting a couple coaches together this month to implement my methods and frameworks for injecting a minimum of 15K worth of new clients into your online coaching business, or doubling your online client roster base over the next 30, 60, 90 days. But working with the right people is super important to me. So this is only for you if you are a relationship-focused coach who always puts the human ahead of the money. You've been coaching for at least 6 months to a year. You'd like to get 3 to 5 clients organically from social media every month without wasting time and money on paid ads. You have at least 300 friends on a social platform, email list, or group. You are willing to take bold action because you know that your success depends upon it. And last but most importantly, you can keep a secret. If that's you, I want you to grab your phone right now, tap on that Instagram app icon and search for me at WhatUpJeremy and send me the words case study. When you do that, I'll ask you a couple questions about your online business, about your about your vision for the future. And then I'll share with you what we have coming up this month in the Get Clients program and how we're already helping other students from all over the world, like New Zealand, like Canada, like US, and even Afghanistan, to get results in their business every single month, like Henry, who got 8K worth of clients in his first 31 days, or Juan, who's having himself a 60K month here in August. All you have to do is find me on Instagram and send me the words case study. That's it for this episode of Client by Client. See you in the next one. Cheers. What do you guys think of the new hat? What are the thoughts? Got a freshie. Shout out to my sister and shout out to Boomerang Capital for the fresh fit. It's a Carhartt. If you made it all the way through the end of this live stream, drop me a hat emoji, blue cap. People will think we're capping. We're not. Just drop me an emoji, a hat emoji. I know you made it all the way to the end. Tomorrow, we got some good stuff coming up about mindset. If there is something you would like to hear me talk more about, if there's an episode you got value from, if there is something that's been on your mind that you would like an answer to, this show is about you. So don't hesitate to, wherever you're consuming this, drop me a comment or send me a message wherever the things are at. And I would love to answer your questions, share more things that would be valuable for you, and to maybe expound upon any topics that would help you to grow your online business. I have plenty of them, but I would, of course, like to cater it to you. Carrie, what's going on? Was thinking about you yesterday. Appreciate you being here. Carrie's a past client as well. We've done some great things together in the program. Always great to see you here, my friend. All right, guys, that's it for me. Enjoy the day. Make the most of it. Get client students tomorrow. We're back. Weekly call. We're going to jam for 60 minutes to 90 minutes on exactly what to do to take the next step in your online business. So be ready for that. Gear up for it. And I'll see you guys there tomorrow. That's it for me, team. Peace out.